Hello, and welcome to the Kellyco Technical Review Series. Today we're going to take a look at how to assemble a Blisstool LTC64X. But before we get started, let's take a look at all the components that come with this detector. You have the Blisstool LTC64X control housing. It also comes with an 11-inch double D coil, a lower shaft with the coil attach bolt, a middle shaft with the locking nut, and an upper S shaft. It also comes with 3 Velcro retaining straps. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the main housing to the upper S shaft. And now it's real easy to do. What you're going to do, go ahead and take this thumb screw out, sit it down, you turn it. If you look down here, there's 2 holes that you can slide on. They're going to fit right over this. So what you do, you put them on, slide it into place. Once you do that, you're going to notice that the thumb screw holes match up. Just pick up your thumb screw, go ahead, put it right back in there. And now you're done with the first step. Now we're going to move on to the coil, and we're going to need to attach the coil to the lower shaft first. Okay, first thing you're going to do, pick up your lower shaft. Now make sure there's a spring clip. Make sure that that's pointing down. Secondly, you need to remove this bolt from the end, but make sure both washers stay in place. Now, you take your coil, make sure your cable is facing towards the unit. You put that right down, it's very easy and self-explanatory. Get it fit right in there, and then you just run, bolt right back through, and you just gotta line that up. Once it's through, just put the nut back on there. There you go. Step 2 is complete. Step 3 is gonna be your mid shaft. Basically same thing, make sure that your spring is pointing downward, spring clip right here. You need to take this lock nut off the S curb. Push down and it'll go right on there. So now that your lock nut's on here, what you're gonna do, make sure that your spring is pointing downward, slide it right in there and use your finger to push that spring so that it starts to go in. Once you do that, if you don't hear a click, you can pick it up and you can take a look at the bottom and it'll just go ahead and move it around until your spring pops into place, just like that. Now, you just tighten your lock nut down, and this step is complete. Okay, now for our next step. It's very similar to the last step. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take this lock nut off the bottom of the middle shaft, and we're gonna just put it on the lower shaft. Just put it on there, slide it right over, spring, and then attach the lower shaft to the mid shaft. Again, you should hear it pop out on the bottom. There you go. As soon as you hear that. And now there are several holes so you can adjust for your height. So you pick what the length you need. But once you do that, just tighten up the lock nut here. There you go. Now down to the important stuff. We got to get this thing connected. So first thing we're going to do is take our cable. You're going to have about 8 wraps, and there's several different ways to do it, but we're going to do it right here on the table. That way, if you're doing it, you can see how easy this can be. So you're just going to go ahead and start. And you'll see it already has some degree of spin in the cable. So just follow that. So keep going. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for now, we've only done 6 and we're looking pretty tight up here. Just to make sure, and this is probably the most important thing, make sure you can bend your coil all the way back, and you can also bend it all the way forward, because if you don't and you get out there and you don't have enough slack, you're gonna have to redo all this out in the field. Okay, so get it up to about the hand shaft here, the grip, right? And then you go right down under. You'll notice the bolt pattern will match this bolt pattern for the receptacle. You go ahead and get that in there. Tighten that. Okay, and now our final step. We've got this thing working, we just got to keep it organized and keep all the wiring safe. So we've got these Velcro straps. First and the most important strap is going to be down here in the lower shaft, because you don't want any tension pulling on this cord. So what you can do is you just test it out. Now see how that's pulling it? Let's go ahead and give it a little bit more slack. And now let's go ahead and wrap this around. Give it a Velcro. Now when we bring it back, there's plenty of extra slack here, which will not pull on this cable, which we definitely don't want that. This next one you want to do is kind of the same thing on this end. This is the same, it's going into the receptacle. We don't want the receptacle to be pulled on. So we got a nice amount of slack here. We make it tight. We grab this Velcro here. Now, this last one, simply to make this look nice. So let's go ahead, spread this out nice and good. Put this around. All right, there we go, a fully assembled Blisstool LTC64X. Now, get out there and find some treasure. We want to thank you for watching the Kellyco Technical Review Series, and as always, happy hunting.